Today I'm going to show you how to make elk Alfredo Stromboli. It's one of our favorite dishes, and it's something that you can do with all that elk meat that you have in your freezer now. So good luck, and come along with me as I make it. Alright, so we're going to start on the dough for the Stromboli. So I will try to provide a commentary as much as I can. I'm using a tripod to video this, so the camera's not going to move a whole lot, but I will include recipes on my blog, bigcitybackwoods.blogspot.com. I'll include the link several times throughout the video so that you can go get the recipe for this. Okay, let's get started with the dough. So first we need 1.5 cups of warm water. So I'll be right back. Alright, 1.5 cups warm water, and I'm putting it into my Bosch. Best thing ever, Bosch Universal Mixer. Okay, then we're going to need our yeast, and we're going to do 1 tablespoon. And we're going to do 1 tablespoon of sugar. But I have a huge bucket full of sugar. I love doing buckets for my flour and my sugar. I have a big bucket of whole wheat berries too. I'm just going to mix that up for a second, and then we will wait until it starts to grow a little bit. So I will turn the camera off for a moment. Okay, we've given the yeast a few minutes to grow, so now we're going to continue with the recipe, and we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon salt. There it is, 1/2 teaspoon. And then we're going to do about 3 to 4.5 cups flour. I use bread flour. What, buddy? Go get him on. Alright, continuing. I use 3 to 4.5 cups flour, but I use bread flour. You don't have to use bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour if you want. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. Bread flour just helps your dough rise a little better. So here we go. At this point, you're going to want to start watching your dough to make sure it's not getting too stiff. I'll take a picture of my dough at this point for you. So. Alright, I'm just going to mix up a little more. And then I'm going to feel it. And if you can see that, it's still sticking to my fingers a lot. So we're going to add a little bit more flour. Okay, I'm doing another hand check. Still a little too sticky. I'm going to add a little bit more flour and put it back out. Alright, it's still, ignore the flour in my hands, but it's still a little sticky, but not so sticky that it sticks to my hands. It's not sticking to my hands anymore. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bowl really fast. I'm going to get some olive oil. I'm going to put the olive oil in the bowl. Just kind of spread it around with my hand in there. You have clean hands when you're cooking using your hands all the time. And then I'm going to actually let this knead for a little bit more just to make sure it's mixed thoroughly. Okay, so it's mixed for a while. I'm going to unplug my Bosch so that I don't mix up my hands by accident. Put them in here. Alright, so as you can see, it's not sticking to my hands. When I'm doing it, it's still a little sticky, but it's not leaving large amounts of dough on my hands. Here it is. I'll try to do this up here with the camera. I can hold it with my hands and not get it all over my hands. See? Okay, so I'm going to put it in my bowl. I'm going to drop it in my bowl, kind of spin it around in that olive oil so that it's all coated with olive oil. Good. Okay, and then I'm going to put a cloth over it. But a little trick is that my house isn't very warm. I don't like to run the heater unless I have to. I live in Arizona, so I don't have to run the heater most days. But my house is still pretty cold. It's probably 74 degrees in here, so it's not optimal temperature for rising dough. So I'm just going to turn my oven on to 200 for 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I'm going to let it preheat. It won't get very hot in 1 minute, but as soon as that 1 minute is up, I'm going to turn off the oven and I'm going to stick my dough inside that warm oven to rise. We're going to let it rise for 30 minutes. Ow! Okay, into the oven it goes. Alright, and I'm going to set my timer for 30 minutes. Perfect. Okay, the next step is to cook the elk meat. I've put the elk meat, this is ground elk meat, so it's just burger, into a pan. I should have let it thaw a little longer because it's still frozen in the middle, but it will thaw as I cook it, so it's not a huge deal. But I'm just browning it, just like you would brown ground beef, or some people call it hamburger. Alright. It's very, very frozen. I'm going to have to wash my hands after this because I'm touching raw meat. Anytime you touch raw meat, you want to make sure you wash your hands. Okay, our elk meat is still cooking. It's still browning, not done yet, but we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the Alfredo sauce. So first we need to put in 2 cups of milk. I'm going to use whole milk, but you don't have to use whole milk. You can use any type of milk you desire. 2 cups. Milk. Okay, the next thing that we're going to add is the cream cheese. We need 3 ounces of cream cheese. Cheese. This is the kind I like to use, the lower fat Neuchâtel. I think that's how they say it. I might be saying that wrong. Okay, 3 ounces of cream cheese. Into the blender. Then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. So I gotta get the flour. Watch out, bud. Don't touch the camera. Remember, if you touch the camera, you get a timeout. Do you want a timeout? No. Okay. 1 tablespoon. 2 tablespoons. Okay. I'm going to stir the elk meat up again. It's getting close to being done. There's still some heat. You want to see what? The camera? Okay. There it is. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay. Okay, the next thing that we're going to add is some kosher salt. And we need 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Oh, you're sweet enough. Okay, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, buddy. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And then we're going to put the lid on. And we're going to blend it all together until it's smooth. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so the next step is that we're going to get a large nonstick saucepan and we're going to melt a tablespoon of butter on medium-high heat. So I'm going to turn it to medium-high heat. And as soon as that's melted, I'm going to add some garlic. Okay, I apologize, but you missed some of the... You want to say hi? Hi. You missed some of the fun because my camera died. Hopefully it won't die again. It doesn't have much battery left. But what I did was I put a tablespoon of butter into this saucepan. And I put about 3 garlic cloves minced, which is about 1.5 teaspoons of pre-minced garlic. So first I melted the butter on medium-high heat, and then I added the garlic for about 30 seconds. You don't want to burn it. And then I added the milk mixture that I had previously mixed up in the blender. And now what I'm doing is I'm kind of stirring pretty constantly. We want it to come to a simmer, and then we want it to cook for a little longer, so until it thickens up. So it's kind of a waiting game. Meanwhile, I've been stirring the elk meat, and the elk meat is done. So I'm just going to turn the burner off to let it cool down. It looks beautiful. I'll take a picture. Once I added the milk, cream cheese, flour, salt mixture, I let that cook until it came to a simmer, and then I let it simmer until it started to thicken. Once it started to thicken, I added a cup of Parmesan cheese. Now, it tastes better if you have fresh Parmesan cheese, but I hardly ever have fresh Parmesan cheese. It's a lot more expensive, so I usually use this kind, and it tastes just fine, works great. My whole family loves it, so it's not a problem. And also, meanwhile, our elk meat finished cooking. Okay, I'm pulling this out of the oven, our warm oven, and as you can see, it's rising quite a bit. It's pretty much double in size of what I originally had it. Let's move the camera up just a tad. Okay. So I'm going to punch it down. That is like the best part. As a kid, I always loved punching it down. Okay, again, I'm rolling out the dough. And what I want is I want a pretty long rectangle of dough. You want it to be about 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch thick, somewhere in there. You want it to be pretty much even all the way around. If you can get it pretty square, then you're pretty talented. Mine never looks very, very square. But you know what? It's not about beauty, it's about taste. So don't worry too much about it. Then we're going to get our pan. Some people call these cookie sheets, like me. Some people call them jelly roll pans. And then we're gonna get our cooking spray and spray that on there. Okay, before we transfer it though, I'm going to get a butter knife so it won't cut my counter. Gonna get a butter knife. Hopefully you'll be able to see this stuff, but I will take a picture once I'm done. I'm going to cut strips into my dough. Alright, the oven is preheated. I'm going to remove the towel. As you can see, it's larger. It's had time to rise. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven. I'm going to set the timer for about 15 minutes. And then I will come and check it once the timer goes off in 15 minutes. There it is. The oven off. And here it is, sliced open, all ready to eat. Yum. Enjoy.